Hello, and welcome to episode 7 of 411 on health insurance. This is your host, Ghaleb, and today we will be discussing a topic of two things. I want to discuss, obviously, health insurance sales, but more importantly, a point of view from the consumer and a point of view from the salesman/agent. So let's get started with the customer's point of view. We all buy stuff. Therefore, we're all customers or consumers, right? So it's a great experiment you could do with yourself just to kind of get an idea of how it is when you buy something, right? Just think back to the most recent purchases you've made, whether it was a big purchase or a small purchase. We walk into a store, a department store, and a salesperson or a customer service associate usually approaches us and says, "Can I help you?" And our normal reaction is usually no. So with that, you walk into a car dealership, you get pounced on usually, and people say, "Can I help you?" Because you're not there really to buy pizza, right? There's cars that people are selling at a car dealership, and that's pretty much it. Everybody has an experience probably of buying a car at some point in their lifetime. I know myself just recently had a purchase, but working in the car business for 8 years probably helped me. And I'll be honest, it was a miserable experience. So I guess you should just walk in and pay what they want and then say it was a great experience. But if you want to get a good deal, it's probably going to be closer to the miserable experience. So hopefully I got a good deal since it was such a miserable experience. But the other end of it is the salesperson's end of it, or the agent. One thing I would like to talk about, and you've probably heard me say this before in previous podcasts. Hopefully I've said it before in previous podcasts, but don't tell, don't sell. You're a consumer, just like everyone else. Do you like to be told what to do? Do you like to be sold a product? No, no one does. But what we do like is to be informed and educated, right? I always say, look, educate me and inform me of what my options are, regardless of what I'm buying. And if you do that, more than likely, I'll probably buy something if I feel like I need it based on that explanation. Now, I like to just keep things as simple as possible and look at it from a point of view of obviously selling health insurance, since that's the whole idea of this podcast, right? Think about it from a consumer's point of view who needs to buy the health insurance. It's probably similar maybe to having to buy a car. You need to buy it, but you hate the experience. And doing this for as long as I have, I'll tell you, I've been taught and trained in so many different fields. The one thing I'll say is, as much as I want to tell you is a lot of these people that have worked with me are amazing. At the beginning of my career, I would say maybe not so much. But in the last 10 or 15 years of my health insurance and sales career, yes, they're amazing, because our approach is kind of different than anyone else's. We use a system called the Sandler Sales System. It's a psychological approach to sales where you ask open-ended questions to get the consumer talking to you. If you ask the right direct open-ended questions, you'll get the answers that you already know or want. And what it really comes down to is the clients telling you or selling themselves based on the way they answer these open-ended questions. The other psychological part of it is you're not talking as a salesman. The consumer, the customer, you are doing most of the talking. I could say it's 70-30, 80-20, 60-40. As long as the consumer is doing most of the talking and you're asking those direct, open-ended questions to get them to talk, you're really doing what needs to be done. And if you think about it and you use it, you can use this approach and process and system in life. It doesn't just have to be sales. Again, we talked about this in previous episode where we said, hey, everyone has a loved one, family, friend. Ask them how their day was. You have to listen, which a lot of salespeople don't do, too busy selling, and you just use the information or conversation that the person's saying. So if they respond, hey, it's great, my day is great, I would say, oh, great, that's awesome. Hey, what's great about it? And then your friend's going to talk and tell you, or your spouse or partner. Same concept when it comes to sales. When a customer makes a comment on the other end of the line, acknowledge it, repeat it, ask them why. That's getting them to talk in the form of an open-ended question. We call that pain, where if you can get emotions involved, people usually buy based on emotions, right? So again, just trying to keep it simple. I want to look at it from both lenses, the consumer's lens / customer, which we all are. We all buy stuff. Again, think back to that most recent purchase. It could be a pair of gym shoes. It could be a new car. It could be a house, right? There's tons of things. A lease, an apartment, maybe. There's different things that you're purchasing or buying or looking at. And I like to experience everybody's approach when they approach me for sales, which from doing it for, 20 some years, it's kind of interesting to just see other people's approaches. It's very exciting when you get approached by somebody who does a little bit of the open-ended questions, asks you, hey, how's it going today? What are you looking for? Or what's important to you when it comes to a TV, if you're buying a TV? Do you watch a lot of sports? Do you watch a lot of movies, things like that? Do you use your TV as a smart device where you need to get online, things like that? It's changed tremendously, right? So you can kind of see the approach if you were working at maybe a Best Buy. I remember the days when you walked into Best Buy and somebody came up to you and says, hey, can I help you? I haven't walked into a Best Buy in well over a year. I haven't walked into anywhere in well over a year. But, ultimately we want to educate, inform our clients of their options, let them choose. We're helping navigate the chaos and confusion that is involved in buying a health insurance policy. I wish the car business would do that. If you think about it, I guess they actually have kind of did that with the online purchasing of vehicles. A lot of people like CarMax probably started it where you walked in, here was the price, and there was no negotiating. Personally, I don't know if I'll ever be able to buy a car at CarMax. I'm just, being a salesperson, I have to negotiate, I feel like. And I would joke and say I'm an idiot. I bought the same car 11 years later, a Toyota Camry. It was a lot more expensive than the original Toyota Camry I bought. But, the experience, and jokingly, I joke and say this, it was miserable. But ultimately, buying a car today is totally different than it was buying a car 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago when I worked in the car business. And I'm only saying this because I remember the people who worked in the car business 20 years ago telling me how it's changed tremendously. And I'm laughing because if you think about it today, everything's done online. I mean, I basically bought my car online. Now, ultimately, I went in to the dealership and test drove the car, which is silly because it's a brand new car, but I just wanted to test drive it. And then from there, I actually negotiated a little bit more and got an even better deal because I waited to the last day of the month in November, and that's when the dealerships get their cars allocated for the next year. So what happened was I got a killer deal. I think the pandemic helped tremendously as well, but I'm talking like 33% off of the price of the car, which I feel like is amazing. Now, again, the experience of getting that killer deal was miserable. And then the general manager or the sales manager offered me a job, and I politely declined. I don't think they could afford me. But remember, it's all about the experience. And if you look at it from whatever point of view, and if they change the process of helping people, educating them and informing them, it'd probably be a lot more pleasant experience. Now, for me, just putting that in the context of health insurance, people still don't want to be sold. If your client is healthy, I'll be honest, they want the cheapest plan 90% of the time. They don't really care about, maybe I shouldn't say they don't care. They're always looking for the best plan. But what I will say is they care more about price when they're healthy. If somebody has some issues or medical concerns like myself, it really comes down to the coverage. And I'm not going to lie, it's a lot easier to sell a plan to somebody who deals with medical issues rather than it is to sell someone a plan who's healthy. Because normally they just care about price. And I'm not here to sell insurance based on price. I'm here to educate, inform, and protect people. Because what happens when you sell on price is when that medical issue arises for that customer, they're not going to be happy with that plan they have. But remember, they're buying it on price. They're not buying it on how it works. They always listen to what you have to say, but at the end of the day, they usually buy it on price in their pocketbook. And the more affordable plans, let's call it, I'm not going to say cheaper or less expensive, but the more affordable plans are the plans that give less coverage, especially if something happens. I had a Facebook post on a carrier. I'm not going to mention them. They're a top carrier, but I want to say it went viral because my response back was, you're cherry picking healthy people. And their response back was, oh, you work for National General. And I'm like, no, I'm a broker. I work for everybody. I'm Healthcare Solutions team. I'm an independent broker. I posted the 9 pages of the insurance company that I was commenting on. And when I say 9 pages, those are the clients that I have on the books. 9 pages of clients on the books that I still get renewals and residuals with this insurance company. I'm not talking bad about that insurance company. I was just being honest. I wish I would have bought the stock about 5 years ago, but the insurance company had commented about their health insurance plan, which was a 3-year plan. The short-term National General plan is the same 3-year plan, but they assumed that because Healthcare Solutions team and National General acquired Healthcare Solutions team that we're only selling National General, and that's not true. We sell everybody. And basically, National General's cherry picking the healthy people too. So now that I've mentioned National General, I'm going to have to mention the other carrier, United Healthcare. It was United Healthcare, okay? So United Healthcare had their tri-term, which is a 3-year plan, and I had just commented they're cherry picking healthy people. If the client had a pre-existing condition, it's not covered for the first year. If they have a major pre-existing condition like my 3 pre-existing conditions, I would not qualify for the tri-term, but I wouldn't qualify for the National General short term either. So again, they're both the same. They're both cherry picking healthy people, but United Healthcare was online bragging about how great this plan was. And I just wanted customers to know the truth behind it. And if National General posted something, I would have probably commented the same way. I really didn't realize it was a person who had commented on the post that actually worked for United Healthcare who came back at me. Now, again, I'm not going to usually, I think back to Joe Eichmann and Joe Crivolo, and they always say, get off Facebook, get off social media. Well, today, people's insurance businesses are built on social media, right? So I'm not going to say, I do agree about getting off Facebook. Like Facebook is just like a tunnel for disaster, in my opinion. But I do use social media for my obviously business. So and again, I live away from my family, and it is a great resource and tool to see pictures of friends and family. So for that reason, I'll probably be on it. For the reasons of trolling and just going down negativity, yeah, it's not the greatest, right? So ultimately, get back to helping people by educating, informing, letting them choose. I don't sell based on price. I sell based on coverage, value. Big difference. So with that, we just want to say we're all consumers. We're all customers. We all buy stuff. So if you're in sales, and if you're not in sales, you can still use these approaches by asking open-ended questions, get people to talk to you, use that as information to educate, inform, let them choose, show them options. But it really always comes down to budget. And I know a lot of people are embarrassed or hesitant to ask a client what their budget is. You have to say that. If you're worried about asking a client for their budget, sales probably isn't the best fit for you. And I hate to say that, but also I look at it from different perspectives and say, well, why is it so difficult for you to ask for the budget? And what I've found is a majority of the people who are nervous is because maybe they're in a bad financial situation themselves, right? Or they're not able to afford a health insurance plan themselves. And then they see what a health insurance plan may cost for their clients. And they're like, wow, that's expensive, because they're prejudging their situation. So what I would say with that, same thing, don't judge. I remember a customer I had when I was like 18 years old in the car business. And the guy walked in, barely able to keep his pants on. He did not have a belt on. He barely had his pants zipped up. Let's put it that way. I'm not going to go into any more graphic detail. I will tell you this. He asked to look at a conversion van, which is a stripped down cargo van with seats and stuff that a different company put in to make it look fancy. And sometimes they had a TV in there. and I'm dating myself. I don't know if they still have conversion vans, but the price on there, they were hugely marked up. They were probably the highest paying commission products as a salesperson besides like an SUV, Suburban or Tahoe. And the guy wrote me a check. He just wrote me a check, and everybody's making fun of me, and they said there's no way that's going to work. And we went downstairs, the finance guy and I, and he ran it through this little machine. Keep in mind, I'm 18. And I'm like, what are you doing? What are you doing? He's like, this is going to tell us if he has the money in the bank or not. The money was verified, guaranteed, they called it, that the money was in the account and it was transferred to the dealership. So I was like, man, this guy who looked like he had not a dollar in his pocket had that much money just sitting in his bank account to buy a car, a conversion van. So for me, from that day forward, I said, don't prejudge. Don't ever prejudge a customer. And that's how I've always lived sales. I never really said, oh, he can or can't afford it. Really, the reason I talked to him is it was late on a Saturday, and I felt like if I didn't talk to that person, I was going to fall asleep at my desk. Let's just say I was out the night before, Friday night, and this was Saturday around 5, and we were getting ready to close around 6, and I just needed to keep myself occupied. So with that, I personally just don't prejudge, whether that's a lead I'm calling or whether it's a referral or anything. I do the same thing over and over again. I'm here to help people find the best options for their situation, and what I've found is the path of least resistance is a psych person who wrote a sales book, David Sandler. You can't teach a kid how to ride a bike at a seminar. And I know it's been redone, and same author, he just changed the name, but that's the name I remember. I always think Adam Sandler's little brother, David Sandler. But it's psychologically, it's smart. Think about it. People have been sold for over 100 years. You get a phone call right away, you already know if it's a telemarketer or somebody trying to sell you something. So I love this approach. It's more of a helping approach, asking the right direct questions. Hey, look, I am here to sell you something. I'm not going to lie to the client and say, oh, you're buying health insurance. Like, it's not one of those. But ultimately, if the client needs help and you use this approach, then yeah, you're going to be able to help people. You might go through a lot of people who don't need your help, but when you find the people that do need your help, you'll be rewarded greatly. So with that, this episode was really out there just to get back to, hey, we're all consumers. We all buy stuff. We're not here to sell you anything. We're here to educate, inform, and let you choose based on your situation. My goal is to try to protect the client with the most comprehensive insurance plan at the most affordable price. But God forbid, if you need to use it, you're going to get the protection you need. In 15 years, over 15 years, I've not had one phone call from a client saying you did something wrong, you lied, cheated, or steal, right? We have fail-proof things in place, errors and omissions insurance, where the client can file a claim, not one claim. I think back to, I had a call this past month, first time ever, where it was for an agent that works with me, and it was eye-opening, because for me it was just first time I ever had to experience it. The good news is things got resolved regardless. Things ended up working out. But ultimately, it's nice to say, hey, in 20 years of selling health insurance, or 17 years of selling health insurance, I've not had to have that call once from a customer of mine. So again, with that, we're here to educate, inform, help clients choose a plan based on their situation. If you or someone you know needs help, please 411 on all things health insurance, on all social media sites, 411 on health insurance. Please rate, subscribe, and review. Have a great day.